Welcome, welcome. What about these Mets? What about these Mets? 6 games in a row now. 6 games in a row. And you know what? Not only are they winning games, they are winning games against teams ahead of them in the wild card standings. Well, not anymore. Padres were ahead of them, behind them now. They are beating teams. They are beating teams in ways they weren't before. July is the month of being undefeated. They are undefeated in July. And I'm telling you, Justin Verlander didn't look great this game, but it was a gutsy performance. He had a couple of errors behind him, and I'm like, you know what? Please make the plays. Guillermo in the beginning of the game, that was so sad. And I'm like, if it's going to be like a game like this, we are going to have a big problem. But luckily, the team bared down. Verlander picked up the guys. Pete Alonso made a couple plays in the field that were questionable. But you know what? We stuck together. We had a lot of clutch hitting. How about Francisco Alvarez? This guy, he's going to be Rookie of the Year. Forget about Corbin Carroll. I can't believe it. Francisco Alvarez has 16 home runs. He's batting over 240 right now. Went 4 for 4. 4 for 4. He's going with the pitches all over the field. I mean, this guy looks like a seasoned veteran. And I can't believe he's batting 8th in the lineup. That makes no sense to me. No sense. I can't believe that. And if he was batting where Marte was batting, this game wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. I mean, if we start going back to the first inning, I know we jumped out to an early lead, but we should have got so much more. Marte batting in the 6th hole, grounded into an early double play. And right then and there, I'm like, already we have a mistake. Already Alvarez should have been a couple batters higher. I don't understand it. Alvarez has been dominating these last couple of games. I wanted to bat him 5th, but you know what? I give Vogelback a lot of credit because he had a great game. He had a bunch of hits, so I can't take that away from Vogelback. I mean, I just they're really, it's a whole different team. It's like I'm watching a different team right now. I'm trying to make sense of it. Like, what really happened? They traded Eduardo Escobar about 2 weeks ago, right? And the big thing was Eduardo Escobar was supposedly a leader. Now they have no leader. What's going to happen with the team? But I think it was a good thing that they traded Eduardo Escobar. Eduardo Escobar had a lot of friends on the team, and there was a big controversy. Do we start the young guy in Beatty, or do we put the grizzled veteran who has a lot of friends? And every single time Beatty was in the lineup, I think that caused a big rift in the clubhouse. Are you on Team Eduardo, or are you on Team Beatty? So I think eliminating him from the clubhouse wasn't the worst thing in the world. Getting another guy in the pen, we haven't really had to use him yet, but I got to say, I feel really good about this team. Obviously we have a lot of issues to solve. We have a lot of things to worry about, but this month right now has got me really excited. And the thing about Carlos Carrasco yesterday, he's raving about his slider that, he learned from Pablo Lopez. I don't know if anybody heard that. His slider is looking nasty, filthy, Carlos Carrasco. So they asked him, how is your slider having so much different movement? And he's like, well, I looked at the way Pablo Lopez held the ball, and, that's the way I'm holding it now. So he's pitching well. Verlander's pitching well. Scherzer's coming on. Peterson's coming on. Quintana's coming back. Sanga's looking like an ace. And this is what we need. We need our starting pitchers to go 6 damn innings. If they go 6 innings, we're 25-4. We're 25-4. It is ridiculous. We're 26-4 right now. We are 26-4 if our starting pitchers go 6 innings. So that is ridiculous. So this was a close game throughout. Obviously, we went to the 10th inning. It shouldn't have been close. It shouldn't have been close. We had ample opportunities. We had opportunities in the first inning, like I spoke about before. Marte grounds out into a double play. I had opportunities in the fifth inning. It was bases loaded. McNeil struck out on an outside pitch. It was a nasty pitch, but he didn't come through. Bottom line, he didn't come through. He would come through later in the game, but in the fifth inning, he didn't come through. In the top of the eighth inning, we had our chances as well. I think Alvarez led off. Then Canna ran the count to 3-0, then ended up striking out. So we lost the opportunity that time. Then in the ninth inning, again, Starling Marte with the double play. One of our fastest guys, bases loaded, situation in the ninth inning. Come on, pop up. And, he hits the ball right back to the pitcher. Pitcher throws it to the catcher. Catcher throws it to the first baseman. And that's what got us into extra innings. But thankfully, in the 10th inning, and I'll give McNeil credit, McNeil was swinging the bat a bit better this game. He really was. He was swinging the bat better. And first pitch, I just listened to the post game real quick, and that was his plan. He wanted to pull the ball down the first base line. He got a pitch he thought he could pull, and the significance is it's a harder throw for the right fielder to throw to home plate. So if he got it down the right field line, it was almost an automatic that Marte would score, and he did. And that really started off a great 10th inning. That was an amazing 10th inning because not only did we settle for the one run, we tacked on, and we needed to tack on. Alvarez, again, got his fourth hit of the game. That made it 5-3. Kana, he didn't do much. He made out. Nimmo popped up, and Lindor, again, coming through. Do you see the way Lindor is batting right now? He's not trying to pull everything. He's going with the pitch. He's staying level. He's driving the ball through the left side of the infield. He's not trying to do too much. He's stealing bases. Lindor is doing phenomenal right now. His average is slowly coming up to 240. He's OPS over 800. He's set to hit about 35 to 37 home runs, over 110 RBIs, 100 runs scored. This is your shortstop right now. He didn't make the All-Star team, which is a travesty. And I was looking up this guy's stats, and we had the luxury, us New York Mets fans had the luxury of just seeing this guy, Perdomo, who got into the All-Star game over Lindor. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to analyze these stats. I know they like to reward teams who have better records, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, they had a better record than the Mets. So that can't be the reason why he's an all-star. I know that's what they want to do. They want to reward players or teams for having guys with decent season, but Lindor's season is clearly better. It's not even close. It's really not even close. I'm going to read you Perdomo's stats. He has 37 runs scored, 60 hits. He has 14 doubles, 5 home runs, 33 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and this is the one category that he's beating Francisco Lindor in. He's batting .274 with the batting average. That's the one category. That's the one. Lindor has almost quadruple the home runs, almost double the RBIs. He has more hits. He has more runs scored. He has more stolen bases. I just don't get it. Lindor's playing a Gold Glove shortstop. I don't get it. It's like they don't want Francisco Lindor in the All-Star game. I don't get it. It's not like we have 4 or 5 guys in there. All we have is Pete Alonso. And you know what? Pete Alonso right now, these last couple of games, hasn't been carrying us. Lindor and Alvarez more offensively has been carrying us. So, I mean, I'm just frustrated with the Lindor snub. It's no matter how you put it, it was a snub. It was a snub. So that is what it is. At least we won the ball game. At least we're 6.5 games back still. We're at a 6-game winning streak. The Mets could not look better than they are. And, let's go through some stats this game because the Mets put up a lot of good stats. And stay tuned. I have a topic that I want to talk about, and it involves the Atlanta Braves. And it was a pretty controversial topic, and I want to see what you think about that. We also have. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna talk about that topic too. But let's look at the stats from this game. I want to see how our pitchers did. So the final line on Justin Verlander was 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So if you notice in the beginning of the game, Verlander was struggling a bit. He was throwing a bunch of pitches. The problem with Verlander is this wasn't a strikeout game for him. He had to struggle a bit. But good pitchers, even if they don't have their A stuff, their nasty stuff, he wasn't striking out guys. They are able to grit it out, and they are able to still put their team in a position to win. Now, going 6 innings and only 2 runs is a very good quality start. Very good. I mean, is it $43 million good? No, but I will take that from Justin Verlander because it's a whole lot better than we've got. Then Raley came in next. He surrendered 2 hits. He didn't have a great outing, but Ottavino came in and he did great. I believe he struck out Tatis to end a rally in the bottom of the 7th inning, so that was huge. Drew Smith came in as well. He really shut the door. David Robertson had a little trouble in the 10th inning. But that's why you support the guy and you give him a couple extra runs. Robertson surrendered a 2-run homer to Manny Machado, and that was the importance of the extra runs right there. So that's how our pitchers did. We did pretty decent. Our bullpen looked pretty good, and like I said, as long as our starters are giving us length, then we are in very, very good shape. Okay, all right. Let's see here. All right, I got one of my pets who needs attention. Just give me one moment. Okay. All right, so back to the game. And I got to say, it was a pretty good game all throughout. I'm looking through the box score here. Tommy Pham still hitting the ball hard. He's hitting the ball hard. I mean, he's finding the glove, and he's not getting as many hits as he was, but he's still having a solid performance. And I mean, that throw in the 7th inning where he deked out Ha-Seong Kim, I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And I got to say, if I was a Padres fan, I would be furious at Kim. Furious. So I believe it was 1 out in the inning. Ha-Seong Kim struck a ball down the left field line, and it was a clear double, but Kim tried to stretch it into a triple. And Pham's watching Kim round second base, and he's just kind of holding the ball for a split second, daring Kim to go to third base. And of course, Kim complied. Pham made a perfect bullet throw to third base, and he was out. And even on the broadcast, they're saying, why the heck would you do that when you have Juan Soto coming up, you got Manny Machado coming out, you got some legends coming up, and you got this guy literally trying to go to third base? It is insane. I will take that. Thank you so much, Ha-Seong Kim. But Tommy Pham, I got to give you all the credit in the world for making that bullet throw. All right, and if we continue down the line, Francisco Lindor, he had another 3-hit game after getting 5 hits the game before. So Francisco Lindor probably in these last couple of games, he's never had a hotter stretch as a New York Met. him being snubbed, him having the child a couple weeks ago, him getting the haircut. I mean, like in these last couple of weeks, I have seen the Francisco Lindor from Cleveland. The Cleveland Francisco Lindor is here. He's here. It's taken him a while. It's taken him a few years. We had to pay him almost $100 million to see the Francisco Lindor, but at least he's here now. I mean, Francisco Lindor is playing at another level right now, another level. And I know he's still got a long ways to go to earn that $341 million, but still, he is playing at another level, especially when Pete Alonso is not back yet. He's not. I don't know what's going on with the wrist. 2 games ago, yes, he had that 2-run homer, but I'm not seeing the productive at bats from Pete right now. I'm really not. Luckily, Daniel Vogelbach back batting in the 5th position, had 3 hits today, 2 infield hits, and that first hit in the first inning, I mean, crazy. He like hit it in the hole. It was between the shortstop and the third baseman. Shortstop got his glove. Bogarts got his glove on the ball, but still, I'm like, if Vogelbach is gonna get a hit like that, things are gonna go great. That's why I was so upset when the next batter came up. Marte came up, and we had guys, I think it was on second and third or first and second, and Marte grounds into a double play. So that was very frustrating. But I saw an article today. And the article said that the Atlanta Braves series, and you kind of like, it kind of makes sense that we really stumbled after the Atlanta Braves beat us in those 3 games. That's when we went on this June month from hell, the month from hell after the Atlanta Braves series. So I don't know if you want to like comment on that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Braves like put the nail in the coffin. I think we were just playing like crap. A lot of guys lost their confidence. You know, I don't want to give the Braves that much credit. They're a heck of a team right now. They really are. As a Mets fan, like, I don't like to admit it, but it is what it is. It really is what it is. Oh, man. All right. So the Mets are doing really – they're on a 6-game win streak. We have 2 games left. 2 games left before the All-Star break, and we got to win both of these games. I'm telling you, we got to win both of these games. We got to make a statement, and we got to make a statement. 8 games. If we lose these 2 games, that's going to diminish our win streak. So we need these extra 2 games, and we'll go into the break on an 8-game win streak. Our guys will get rested. Pete Alonso will hopefully win. I believe it's his 3rd home run derby. So Met fans, we got that to watch. Hopefully he doesn't screw up his swing. But the good thing about Pete is he's done it before in the past, so it hasn't screwed up his swing in the past. So that's a great thing. That's a great thing. And you know, our pitchers, like I said, our staff is rounding into form. It seems like these older $43 million pitchers, they needed the first 2-3 months to wipe off the cobwebs. Once the cobwebs are wiped off, these guys are coming down into form. Their earner averages are coming down, and it looks like we're going to be ready to go for the second half. These 2 games are going to be basically tune-up games. Extend the streak, get everybody rolling, and we got to take this into the second half. Bottom line, we don't put the brakes on at all. The brakes aren't going to be on, and then at around July 15th, July 16th, we evaluate where we are in the season. We evaluate where we are, and then we're going to add. We're going to add, because if we cut this deficit from 6.5 to 3 or 4 games, Steve Cohen said we want to add, but we were not going to add if we were 8.5 games out. It wasn't going to happen then. So we got to continue to cut this lead, and we got to continue to play well. If we continue to do this, then it's going to be exciting, and I'm expecting big things. And I know the Shohei OHTANI rumors are out there. I know the rumors are out there. I know it. And, you know, I can't say for certain, but Mike Trout is out. Shohei Ohtani is in his walk year. The value of Shohei Ohtani decreases. I mean, after the trade deadline, what's going to go on? If Shohei's like, you know what, I'm not going to sign there, and he gives this indication before the trade deadline, especially since Mike Trout is only getting older, he's only getting more injured. I mean, the injuries are piling up with Trout. They really are. They really are. So it's basically going to be Shohei Ohtani by himself in an organization that basically has stunk, and they haven't won. At least we won 101 games last year. We have an owner who will do anything to make us into a superior ball club. We have endless amount of resources. We are the richest team in baseball. And if we can get Shohei Ohtani, who will help the pitching, he will be that 3-hitter that we need. Lindor probably goes down to 5. Our lineup is going to be so dangerous. And sometimes all it takes, I put a video out the other day, and I say the difference between a good team and a bad team is not that much sometimes. Sometimes it's just incremental differences. Sometimes a pitcher 1 year gives up one extra hit a game, and he turns into a bad pitcher. And you see it all the time in the relief pitching world. You have a bad game, you give up 3 or 4 runs, and then all of a sudden your year stinks. Your year stinks. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're changing things incrementally right now. It looks like our guys have a better approach at the bat. If you noticed in the last couple of games, we've had a better approach. Our guys are taking better swings. They really are. Like, look at the way Lindor is swinging. Look at this. Lindor puts his weight on his back leg, especially when he's batting as a lefty. He puts his weight on his back leg. That's telling me that the guy is balanced. That's telling me that he's taking a level swing. He's not lunging. He's not trying to pull the ball. And this approach, it starts with the top. I don't know if the analytics are getting better, if they've done something a bit different. But, you know, I got to say, I'm like very, very, very happy with how he's been developing in the last couple of games. Of course, you know, there's a lot more that he has to do, but, you know, I can only evaluate what's been going on the last couple of days. And, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, good comment. You know, the thing is, since the Mets are on a win streak, I got the flag. It's taped. I can pull it. It won't come down. Yeah, so good comment with that. Like, when we're on a win streak, the flag stays up. But hopefully it stays. Hopefully it stays. I wouldn't be surprised. If things change. But right now, we got to cross our fingers right now. The Mets are playing well. Thank God. But we got to keep building. We got to keep building. The thing is, it's not about like where we are today. In 10 days, like I said, we keep evaluating the situation, and hopefully we're a whole lot better than where we are. And we got to add to this team, the bullpen. There's a huge hole in the bullpen. And last month, when Billy Epler said that statement about how our biggest loss was losing Edwin Diaz, and he wasn't replaced. We until we got a reliever last week, we didn't replace any bullpen help. Like, this has been our biggest hole in the last 3 months, and we've gotten nobody except for our trade last week. I don't get it. I don't get why we had to wait 3 months to replace Edwin Diaz. And I know you can't replace the guy because the guy's the best reliever in the game. But if you got to do something. You got to do something to get better incrementally. So that's what I'm going to be looking for the trade deadline. I'm going to be looking for Shohei Ohtani, number 1. I'm going to be looking for Shohei Ohtani. And number 2, I'm going to be looking for 2 arms in the bullpen. 2 arms in the bullpen. So that's at minimum. That's at minimum. Plus, we need an extra bat in the lineup too, because I don't trust Daniel Vogelbach. He had a good game this game, but he's been highly inconsistent. So, you know, you want to get a lot more consistency there in the lineup. That 5-hole, like I said, it probably belongs to Alvarez, either the 5 or the 6 hole, 5 or the 6 hole. So you know, yeah, Ohtani's not going to the Mets. Like I said, it's a hope right now. It's really a hope. Whatever happens, happens. Where would you think that Ohtani has a chance of going if he's being traded? Because I mean, like, if the Angels are going to trade him, and there's really not a lot of teams out there that can pay the $500 million. Maybe the Dodgers. Yeah. It's actually a 6-game. It's a 6-game win streak. 6-game win streak. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah, Yankees, Dodgers. I don't know. I haven't seen the Yankees really invest a lot of money. It took them every single ounce of their being to invest $360 million last year in Aaron Judge, and that was their own player. So I mean, we just got to see about that. Yeah, no, look, the Braves are dominant. They're the best team in the Major League Baseball right now. I mean, the lineup is stacked. I wouldn't spend $500 million on an extra guy. The Braves would sign their guys for like $50 million, $100 million. So it's just, yeah, it's really tough right now. If you're a Met fan right now, your ultimate goal, I gotta say, if you want to compete with the Atlanta Braves, you got to really kind of wait for the future, because we're not built foundation-wise to compete with a team like that. I mean, things can happen, but this year, I got to say, shoot for the wild card, and as long as you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Anything. I mean, the Braves got knocked out last year by, the Phillies made it to the World Series. So you never know what can happen. Injuries can happen. Anything can happen. Luck can happen. A lot of things that can happen that can change fortune. Really can. I mean, last year, like I never would have predicted the Phillies, especially the first 2 months. The first 2 months, the Phillies were playing like garbage. I remember Keith Hernandez making that quote, how he doesn't even want to go to Philly because the defense sucks that much. So, I mean, it just shows you how things can change on a dime. In 2015, the Mets, they weren't predicted to go to the playoffs, but they turned things around, and that was the year they made it to the World Series. So things can change. It's just that you got to keep working on it. You got to keep, having the right front office. I don't know if Epler is the right GM. I really know. That's what I'm really concerned about. I'm really concerned about Epler. I'm really concerned. I mean, I was trying to be fair. I'm trying to figure out the good moves Epler has made. I mean, he signed Tommy Pham. Nimmo looks like to be a good contract. But other than that, there are some moves that he has made, that Epler has made, that scare the crap out of me. That really do. I mean, the trade last year that he made with the Giants, Darren Ruff, I mean, that has to go down as one of the most all-time worst trades that I've ever seen. And then the other trade that he made with the Reds and the guy that we got last year, it's slipping my mind, but we gave 2 prospects, and if you look at those two prospects are dominating for the Reds right now. So we're just in the last 2 years, we're just loading the farm systems up of other teams. The Cubs were loading up. Of course, a couple years ago, it was before Steve Cohen, we loaded up Seattle Mariners. The Cubs, we gave one of our top prospects away for Javier Baez. I mean, the front office, and I know Epler is supported by other people in the front office. I don't know if they're all still there, but I'm so worried about this trade deadline. Because I got no confidence in Billy Epler. I have no confidence. Oh, man. I did like the Eduardo Escobar trade. I really did. Those two, we got 2 relievers, and they're not world beaters, but they're 2 top 15 relievers. So I thought Eduardo Escobar, he wasn't even playing for us. I considered him a little better than garbage on the team, and we were able to get 2 top 15 top 20 prospects just because we swallowed, $5 million. So if we're going to go on those lines, then maybe like we could pull off a couple of trades, but I don't think it's fair to Steve Cohen that we got to pay like 90% of every single contract for us to make a good trade. I mean, like think of that. Think of that. Billy Epler's got to be like, Steve Cohen, I need another check. How much do you need, Billy? I need everything. I need you to pay the entire contract for us to get anything decent. So, I mean, I'm thinking that Steve Cohen's got to get a whole new front office right now, because Billy Epler, as seen with the Angels, what did he really do? I mean, he brought Shohei Ohtani into town, and I'm thinking Shohei Ohtani is Shohei Ohtani is the only reason why Billy Epler is even here. He's the only reason why Billy Epler is really here. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. Like, usually I'm not happy. But look, really, like, have the Mets really given us anything to be happy about? They haven't given me anything to be happy about. They've only given me stuff to be depressed about. Right now, they're on a 6-game winning streak, so I'm happy. If they lose these next 2 games before the All-Star game, I'm going to be very disappointed, because that means they lost another series, and that means the Padres are going to leapfrog them in the wild card standings. And also that means that's just more evidence to Steve Cohen to not be buyers and to sell this team. But you know what? If you really think about this, I put out a poll last week, and I asked Met fans, would you rather us be buyers or would you rather us be sellers? 80% of Met fans, I think the poll got like 250 votes. 80% of people last week said we should be sellers. 80%. So after this 6-game win streak, I'd be really interested to see like what everybody thinks, because I don't think 80%. I think it would probably be like more like 50-50. But I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, we can only evaluate the situation as it comes. If things happen negatively, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. We could suck tomorrow. We could have a stinker. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but it's baseball. It's baseball. Things can happen. We're playing professional teams, and I gotta say, Darvish came out and it was giving me like vibes of last year in the playoffs. Like, I was really frustrated, and we should have came through a couple times earlier in this game. And we didn't. Luckily, McNeil, and anybody who's seen my videos, they really know how I feel about McNeil. When I go to games, I'm not very impressed. Like, McNeil always taps the ball. Like, he always has an uppercut / golf swing. And luckily, this game, if you notice, he swung more level. He was trying to put the ball on the ground. I'd rather him put the ball on the ground than put the ball in the air. So it looks like this game he had a better approach, and that's what I guess he needs, because when he has his golf swing going, if he plays golf the day before, us as Met fans, we're usually screwed. But Jeff, regardless, whether he's having a good game or not, should never be batting below 6 in the lineup. If you go look at his baseball savant, he's got some of the most saddest baseball savant numbers. He really, there's nothing according to baseball savant that Jeff McNeil does well. There's really he's got the worst baseball savant numbers that I've seen. For him being like a former batting champion, I'm really surprised. Like, if anybody wants to go check that out, his baseball savant numbers are really bad. Guys' numbers like Tommy Pham, when I was looking about like what we could potentially get for him trade value, like he actually has really good baseball savant numbers. Brandon Nimmo has good baseball savant numbers. Francisco Lindor is putting up his best analytical season of his entire career this year. He's hitting the ball harder than he's ever hit the ball. He's got the highest launch angle that he's ever hit the ball. So, I mean, Francisco has changed up things mechanically, really has. But I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping everybody, I don't know how everybody feels about like this situation. Like, do we think the Mets are going to sustain this? Or or do we think that it's going to be garbage? Okay. That's funny. All right. Oh man, it's like 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. See, these late games really stink. I don't know about everybody else. Like I usually got work in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning. So this is gonna be kind of tough. But like I said, I couldn't wait. I had to get on here. I had to talk about the Mets. And it's something that I just really hope we sustain this. It's a short 6-game series. We're 6.5 games back still. I believe we're like 5 games under 500. So, it is what it is. Yeah, no, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody being here. I know it's really late. Unless somebody's on the West Coast, but everybody's who's here right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was it feels like this game was like a bit of a war. I was kind of falling asleep when it was 3-3, and then it got to the 7th inning, and I'm like, oh, we could win this. But I'm actually gonna kind of call it quits because my energy is like kind of like diminishing. But thank you so much, like everybody, for jumping on here and stuff like that. I plan to do this like more often, like after all like the Met games. I want to try to like jump on here and like give my raw reaction. And I appreciate everybody who stops by, everybody who's been liking the videos. I really appreciate it. Oh yeah, no, the Padres uniform. Everybody at my place over here, like they were looking at those Padres uniform, like that was disgusting. Those are like some of the worst uniforms I've ever seen in my entire life. Those are baseball uniforms, Oh my God, yeah, you're absolutely right. Good comment on that. The Padres uniform was like pathetically terrible. That's probably one of the reasons why they lost. Man. So just making sure I covered everything. What's like really funny? In these last 2 games, the Mets, this game they had 13 hits. I think they out-hit the Padres 13-8. Last game, they out-hit the Diamondbacks 17-4. Like this team has been like, bereft of hitting. And these last 2 games, if you look, no matter which pitcher they were facing, they're taking these like mighty nasty hacks. Like especially yesterday against yesterday's Diamondbacks pitcher. In the video I put out, I'm like, is this guy like tipping his pitchers? I've never seen that before. Like in the first 2 innings of yesterday's game, it just seemed like Francisco Alvarez hit a rope, a bullet. Everybody was like bombing. Like that guy like must have been doing something. Even McNeil hit a double in the alley. Like everybody was smoking the ball yesterday. Like the approach is like has really changed batting wise. I mean, if for a good way, I hope it sustains. If the batting, if these guys bat this way and the pitching is good too, I mean, it's unbelievable how everything just all at once just gets so much better. Like, what clicks? I just don't understand it. But everybody's saying, like the people I speak to, they're like, it's a confidence thing. You do lose confidence. Everybody does. It's pros playing against pros. But, the good thing is the Mets, they did win 101 games last year. So there is good pedigree on the team. And, Marte, Marte is somebody right now who didn't have a good game, but he's a guy we're going to need if we're going to go forward. Like Marte last year was pivotal down the stretch. Like when we lost him against the Atlanta Braves, and, I know the Braves have a great team. I know. But, the offense for the Mets, it was just so different without Marte in the lineup. Even when we had him in the beginning of the Padres series and Marte wasn't there for the first game, it was so different. But I don't know. We got to see how that works. I'm really happy about Senga. Like, when was the last time we had a performance like that? 8 innings, 12 strikeouts. I mean, the guy's got nasty, nasty stuff. Throw 99 mile per hour in the top part of the strike zone, and then he's got that pitch that just bottoms out. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy could be an ace. And then Peterson's coming on too. So I'm really excited about the staff. And Peterson was a guy who I thought with his slider, like Peterson's a guy, a lefty, who could throw 95, 96 miles per hour. He's got a nasty, nasty slider. So he's a guy I anticipated him having phenomenal season this year. And I was so disappointed. I'm like, he was playing like crap. It's just like if these guys just come on and they all click, like we got like a decent team. I'm looking at these teams in front of us. We played the D-backs. They're beatable. We're playing the Padres. They're beatable. The Brewers are in front of us. They're highly beatable. The Giants are in front of us in the standing. They're beatable. The Phillies, I think they beat us 2 out of 3 last series, but we've always had their number. So these are the teams, the 3 teams we got to jump over are the Phillies, the Giants, and the Brewers. All those teams we can jump over. And if the Marlins are in the wild card race too. So they have one of the positions. So if the Marlins fall out, they got to prove it. They got to sustain that over the course of a season, and I don't think they can. So that's another playoff spot that we could potentially have. And if Arizona, if the bottom falls out, they fall out and then somebody slots into their position. So there are a lot of position in the wild card race and the division in other categories, not ours, because unfortunately the Braves are up by like 20 games, but the playoff picture can change. So don't lose. If anybody's a Met fan right now, the season is so far from over. And I know it's only been a week, but a lot of things have happened in a week. We leapfrogged about 4 teams in a week. We made up about 4 games in a week. So, and we're playing so much better. And it's all about, like, momentum's all about starting pitching to me. It's all about pitching. And if our pitching is going to be at this elevated level, then it just takes that much pressure off the hitters. And they take pressure off each other. Hitters if you score offense, that takes pressure off the pitchers, and the pitchers play well, it takes pressure off the hitters, except if Jacob deGrom is pitching, because Jacob deGrom always pitched a gem, and for some reason that put extra pressure on the hitters. So, but Jacob deGrom is not here anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. Oh yeah, awesome, Steven. Oh man, I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out who are going to be the last 3 like wild card teams. Because if the Mets are going to get a spot, let me see this. Okay. All right. So right now, the division leaders, as of 2:02 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, the Atlanta Braves, they lead our division at 59-28. Then the other division leaders, Arizona's 51-38. Then Cincy's 49-30. Okay, so Cincy is a team that could barrel out. They're not a proven team. So that's one team that's weak. Okay, then you have the Dodgers. They have the first wild card position. They're not as strong as they've been in years past, but they're still a very solid franchise, and they could bolster themselves at the trade deadline. So let's just say you have 3 teams that are solid. Atlanta, Arizona, and the Dodgers. And then you have Miami and Philly, who are the last 2 wild card. So those 2, Miami and Philly, those are another 2 teams that like aren't consistent. So those 2 teams could fall out of the wild card race. So the Mets have plenty of opportunity right now. Like with this 6 wild card position, there's so much opportunity. So much opportunity. All right. All right, folks. You know what? We're gonna call it a night right here. We're gonna call it quits. Again, I thank everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I really, really, really do. Especially it's like 2 o'clock in the morning over here. Everybody up right now. I don't know. I got one question. Anybody who's like in New York, around the New York areas, like is anybody like WFAN fans or anything like that? Because yeah, growing up, like I was always a WFAN fan, and somebody commented on like one of the posts about like the new show on WFAN in the midday because Craig Carton left and Evan Roberts is now with the guy Brandon Tierney. So somebody was asking me about that, like what I thought about that. But I don't know. The afternoon show, honestly, I haven't listened to that show in quite a while. I always found like Craig Carton kind of interesting. But like, yeah, no, I haven't really watched it in a bit of a while. Like, but I used to like listen to the fan all the time, like growing up, like Steve Summers, obviously Mike and the Mad Dog, those guys, I was big fans of them. That was always like very entertaining for me. I used to always go to bed to try to find, Mets content, and then they had the crazy calls on WFAN. And I don't know if anybody's going to remember this, but like, years ago, like really years ago, they used to have this crazy guy, Jerome from Manhattan, who used to go nuts about the Yankees. So, I mean, that was like one of my favorite callers. And then they had a couple of Met fans who used to call in. This older lady, I think her name was like Doris. She used to kind of like cough, but like she was like the diehard Met fan. But yeah, like I was always trying to like figure out like what's the next way I can consume like Mets topics. Like I'm always trying to figure out what the heck is going on with the Mets. I mean, unfortunately, throughout the years, there's been a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. And I don't know if anybody heard this story. I told this story in 2006. Everybody remembers the Mets, or who I don't know, whoever remembers. They went to the NLCS, right, and they were facing the Cardinals. And obviously, it didn't end up good. Game 7, Carlos Beltran struck out by a nasty curve to Adam Wainwright. A nasty, nasty curve, right? So I mean, that year, like we were really good. Like Jose Reyes was good, David Wright. We had a lot of good players. Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado. Our pitching was good. So we were supposed to go far. So after that season, I remember I was like really depressed. I was really upset that the Mets got knocked out. And I was walking by my house, and I went to the shopping center, and I'm walking past the health food store, and I literally see a guy who looks like Jose Reyes. He looks like him. So then I literally walk backwards, and I'm like, are you Jose Reyes? And he's like, yes, I'm Jose Reyes. So I'm like, Jose, could you do me a favor? I got my Mets hat. Like it was like a special hat that I had signed by a couple players. I had it in the car. I'm like, could you wait for me? I'm going to go run across the parking lot, and I want you to sign it. So Jose Reyes goes to me, no problem, no problem. So I'm like thinking this guy, it's BS. He's not going to wait for me. So I run across the parking lot. It takes me 5 minutes because it's a big parking lot. And then 5 minutes to come back. So he waited 10 minutes. I got there, and I'm like, wow, you waited? He's like, yeah, of course. So we took pictures. He signed my autographs. He signed like 3 or 4 autographs for me. And I go, Jose, where are you going? Now, what are you doing? And he goes, he's going home for the Christmas holiday. But, he was such a cool guy. And that made me even more of a Met fan. Like I was getting into softball at that time, and I was with a buddy of mine. And I'm like, maybe I can ask this guy to be on a softball team. But, we eventually didn't because obviously he was playing for the New York Mets, and God forbid he got hurt during a softball game. But that's my Jose Reyes story. And actually, the funny thing is, 2 weeks later, I was at a restaurant on Northern Boulevard, which is by Citi Field. And a guy jokes around because I tell him this same exact story. And he's like, Jose Reyes just went in the bathroom. I'm like, no, you're pulling my leg just because I told you that story. Like, no, he's right there. So I turn around, and Jose Reyes is there. So I met him 2 times in 2 weeks. And this time I go, Jose, do you remember me? I met you 2 weeks ago. And he kind of laughed. He's like, yeah, I remember you. But I know he didn't. But, Jose Reyes has been one of my favorite players since then. Yeah. I mean, like it's true. It always seems like a lot of the it seems like WFAN has been more Met fans. Like it always seemed like they always talked about Met fans, but here's the thing. The reason why, and I kind of get this now, now that I'm, doing this YouTube thing, and I just started the YouTube thing a couple months ago. So everybody who's here, I really appreciate the support. Like I really do. But now that I'm doing this YouTube thing, I kind of notice that when the team goes bad or the team stinks, you get a lot more attention. So the Mets over the last couple of decades were the inferior team. So fans are more upset, fans are more frustrated. So then that they tend to call into the station. So that's why it really feels like the WFAN was always more of a Mets station. They really were, because the Mets always needed more help than the Yankees. Really. I mean, like the only Yankee fan on there really was Mike Francesa, and he was like a dry Yankee fan, and he always tried to like kind of irk the Met fans and the Jet fans. Oh man, I remember in 2009, 2008. I'm a Jet fan too, and I remember Mike Francesa like, oh, the Jets, they're gonna lose game 1 of the playoff, game 2, and like they got to the AFC Championship. Unfortunately, they lost twice. But I remember he was really kind of getting everybody upset, with the Jet fans. But I guess that's what good radio hosts do. They try to like kind of piss off their listeners. But I don't know. It's always been a good show. And then like the prank calls. I don't know if anybody saw the prank calls with Mike Francesa. He got kind of pranked in his later years, but those were entertaining too. They have those clips on YouTube if anybody wants to check those out. And then Mike falling asleep on the air. So it's been pretty entertaining. I always found WFAN fun to listen to, especially if I'm trying to if it's 2:00 in the morning, where the heck am I going to get my Mets talk? Right? Like 2:11 right now. It's probably me and I don't even know who the night guy is on the fan right now. But like, yeah. But long story short, right now, I gotta say, last week we were dead and buried. The Mets were dead and buried, and things have changed so much. I would have never expected us to go on a 6-game winning streak. And in our last 6 games, I would have said, if you asked me, yeah, maybe we'll go 4-2, our best, but probably we'll go 3-3, and most likely we'll probably lose 2 out of, we'll go 2-4. So these last 6 games have really injected a lot of life. They injected a lot of life. All right, you stopped listening to WFAN when they dropped Met games and began airing Yankee games. That was a huge betrayal. I don't blame you. What can I say? That's, I actually felt a little upset about that too. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, they're the home of the New York Yankees right now, and I guess right now WFAN and they got the ESPN Michael K. Like I never really listened to Michael K that much. I think during the pandemic I listened to him a bit, but I never really got into the Michael K show. I don't think I really got it. I thought like I never really found him genuine. I don't know if anybody ever did, but like a lot of the guys I found genuine on WFAN, but on the Michael K show, it always just felt like when he got upset, he was trying to be upset, especially Don. Then he would go on these like weird rants, and I'm like, why is the guy yelling like a lunatic? But I don't know. It is what it is. So I was looking at this. I think the Mets need another lefty bat ASAP. Like I think we need another lefty bat. So I was trying to figure out who would be available on the market that's cheap. That's cheap. So I'm gonna just like bring this up. Top trade. Let's see if this is the one I looked at. Yeah, see, there's really not too many options. Like, if we want to add another bat, like, there's really nothing out there. There's a couple of good pitchers out there. Like, the number one player on the market, obviously, is Shohei OHTANI. But if we don't want to dump most of our chips, and I'm kind of like, if it's gonna take like dumping like 5 or 6 of our top prospects. I figured, why not take a chance and sign him next year over the free agent or next offseason? It's going to be in 3 months anyway. If it's going to be cheap or if it's going to be a reasonable price, yeah, I would pay. I would pay a little more than a reasonable price because we get that little advantage to sign him. But other guys that are hitters on the free agent market are Brian Reynolds, the Pirates center fielder, but I don't think that's a match for us because we have Brandon Nimmo. Plus, the Pirates are going to want a lot for Brian Reynolds. Then you have Corbin Burns. He's on the trade market right now. You have, that's actually a pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting if we want to bolster our pitching, but he's going to cost a lot too. And I'd rather kind of like, our pitching right now is 6 or 7 deep. I don't want to give up 3 or 4 top prospects for him. But if we want to improve our hitting incrementally, Christian Walker is another guy who's out there who could be dangled on the trade market. Christian Walker is the guy on the Diamondbacks who we just faced. He was the number 4 hitter who, mashed a couple home runs against us. But the thing about him is he would be strictly just a DH/first baseman. And he's a righty. So I'm trying to look for a lefty who's available. And the only lefty that I see available, and this is kind of sad. Where is he? The only left-handed bat that I see, and this is on the list that I'm looking at, is Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana is he's actually a switch hitter, and he's 37 years old. And he used to be like an on-base guy. He used to be able to produce 25 to 30 home runs. He's not that. He would just be like a shot in the dark right now. If he gets on base at a high level, that's fine. But Carlos Santana is like the only like left-handed bat that I see available right now. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, somebody becomes available. But a lot of times the trade market develops as teams eventually drop out. Like the trade market right now, the reason why teams wait until the trade deadline is because the market has to develop. Like not all teams have declared themselves sellers or buyers. Like Steve Cohen, for example, we weren't declared a seller or a buyer. If we continue to lose, maybe in a couple of days, Steve Cohen would have said, hey, we're sellers. That means the trade market would have been flushed with more players. Therefore, other teams would have been like, okay, now we can go after Tommy Pham. Now we can go after Luis Guillorme because the Mets are sellers. So teams have to start declaring themselves as sellers. Thus, we'll be able to see what the full value on the market is. Right now, there's not too much available hitting-wise besides Shohei Ohtani, Brian Reynolds. And if you want well, obviously Shohei Ohtani is the best lefty, but that's if we don't want to give up the farm. And then Jesus Aguilar, but he's a righty. Yeah, like I'm looking at the top 30 trade deadline targets. There's like not one lefty besides Shohei Ohtani. So we got to see what happens. We got to see how this market develops. I say we definitely need an extra bat. Daniel Vogelbach, I'm not relying on him. And we need 2 relief pitching arms. And if you add Shohei Ohtani, that's just topping. That's icing on the cake right there. So it's just going to be very interesting the way like we approach this trade deadline. It's going to be very interesting. But the good thing is right now, it looks like the team's rounding into form. Francisco Alvarez, I am super impressed with him. Super impressed. I never expected this kid to be a full-rounded player like this. I thought he can hit. I knew he can hit, but I didn't think he can hit like this. Like this guy, he looks like a seasoned vet, the way he goes the other way, the way he's coming through in clutch situation, the way he's able to pull balls. Then in certain situations, he doesn't do too much. Like 4 for 4 for a young kid like this, I expect a lot of good things. I mean, we haven't had, if he hits 30 home runs, we haven't seen that production from the catcher. We haven't seen this production from a catcher since Piazza. Like he's got 16, 17 home runs. Who was the last guy that got 16, 17? Maybe it was Travis d'Arnaud a few years ago, but I don't know if he had 17. I think he had like 15 or 16. This is something special. We have half this season left almost. I mean, this guy, and he looks great behind the plate. He's got a great arm. He looks quick as a cat back there. Francisco Alvarez, And that's I think if you get a Shohei Ohtani, it's got to be built around a Francisco Alvarez, and I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that. And I know Shohei Ohtani is a generational player, but I'm worried about the guy getting hurt. Like, not only do we got to trade away Alvarez, we got to give him $500 million. So, you know, money's one thing, but if we got to give him $500 million plus guys, no, I mean, that's too much for me, too rich for my blood. So let's just hope that Shohei Ohtani, our best bet to get Shohei Ohtani is if he doesn't get traded at all. He stays on the Angels the whole year. The Angels suck the rest of the year. It kind of pisses him off. So he wants to move to another season, or he wants to move to another city. And that would be our best bet of attaining Shohei Ohtani. If he gets traded to the Dodgers, our chances of signing Shohei Ohtani diminish by a lot. That would be another West Coast franchise, and they would have 3 or 4 months to kind of sweet talk the guy. Like, I wouldn't like that. But let's see what happens. I'm going to pay attention to it. Let's see. I want to see one thing. Okay. All right. So this is from Twitter right now. So this was updated from an hour ago. So on June 30th, our Mets playoff chances were 7.5%. All right. So June 30th. So that was a little more than a week ago. Our playoff chances were 7.5%. Right now, July 8th, our playoff chances shot up to 20%. 20% in 7 days. In 7 days. So I mean, that actually is pretty awesome right there. We made up some great ground. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. A lot of weak contact from Vogelbach, Marte, but you know, there's been a lot of weak and kind of pathetic contact from a lot of players. You know, and I'm not talking about these last 2 specific games, but McNeil has been hitting some of the weakest balls in the major leagues. Vogelbach too, Marte too. But you know, if everybody recognizes, Marte is coming off a very serious injury. If anybody doesn't know what Marte had in the offseason, he had double hernia surgery. That, to come back from that, your body's very sore, you're very stiff. If you're a regular person, that's fine. But if you're a professional athlete, your body has to get that fluidity back. You know, and he's based on like him. He turns on the ball. Like when he turns on the ball, he's got a nice quick swing. And if his body doesn't feel loose, if he's not all there yet, he's not going to be productive. So if you notice, Marte, it's been taking him a little bit of time, but these last couple of games, he's been doing better. But there are stretches where, you know, he's just sore. He's sore. But as time goes on, the soreness will dissipate and he will get stronger in the areas that are weak. But a double hernia surgery it doesn't sound like the most serious thing. It's not like, you know, torn ACL or a rotator cuff, a Tommy John surgery. But the thing is, as a baseball athlete, it's very significant. Very significant. I have a hernia right now. I never got it operated. But ever since I got that hernia, I used to play softball all the time. I haven't played softball because I can't even pull the ball anymore. So it's a very significant, it's a very annoying injury. Let's put it like that. It's very annoying, especially if you want to play ball on a high level. Yeah. I mean, you know what? That's the thing. Like, having an approach, a good approach, is probably the most important thing. The Mets, these last 2 games, have had a good approach. But if Marte is not going to have a good approach, and he didn't this game, we should have blew the Padres out. We should have. In the first inning, We had a guys on first and second, and Marte grounded into a double play. Ninth inning as well. Marte grounded into another double play. It was bases loaded in the ninth inning, and he hit the ball, a weak tapper to the pitcher. I mean, that's a good point. It's all about having a good approach, and he had a horrible approach. So as long as these guys lift up their approach, things will get better. Things will get better. But having a good approach is very important. So you know what? I'm gonna get going right now. It's getting a bit late, and I'm losing that energy. I don't want to leave you with crappy stuff. But again, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for coming here and staying here. I really appreciate it. See, I'm getting tired. All right. Well, thank you again. Have a great night. Let's get this streak going, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Thank you again. Have a great one.